So sometimes we feel a little down, sometimes we feel a little depressed, sometimes we feel a little bit anxious. So I want to show you something that I do, or something I recommend to friends of mine that are dealing with anxiety and depression and different things. And that's sort of filling in your spiritual self, filling in your spiritual side. Let me show you. So if you imagine that our bodies, our minds are a lot like a tree, okay? So we have all the nutrients and all the good stuff that's down here in a tree that goes up into the roots and feeds the tree, right? Now what happens if you feed your roots with a lot of yucky stuff and it goes up into the tree? It's obviously going to kill the tree and it's not going to work very well. Well, our minds work the same way. Because when we feel depressed or down or anxious and stuff, it's usually because our minds, and I'm using this lightly with a drawing here, but if our minds are filled up with a lot of poison, you know, you've got news, you've got COVID, you've got violence, you've got anger, you know, just a lot of yucky stuff, right? It's just gonna boil over and make a real depressing container full of yucky stuff. Of course it's going to make you depressed, right? But what happens if you take your container, your mind, and you fill it up with really good, pure wholesome stuff? So you fill it up with, you know, love and kindness, happy thoughts, all that kind of stuff. What's going to happen, this is called filling your spiritual, or nourishing your spiritual self. It's very, very important. Very, very, very important to nourish your spiritual self. Because out of that, if you fill this container full of spiritual stuff, you're not going to feel as empty. One of the reasons that you feel down, or we feel down, because I mean, I feel that too sometimes, right? Is that the container is getting overfilled with all this poisonous, yucky stuff to make you feel rotten and miserable. Your container's empty, your spiritual self is empty. So you need to fill it up so that it overflows with all kinds of wonderful, fun things. And that's the spiritual, that's a halo, by the way. So by filling this stuff up, it really helps. And it's just like nourishing the tree. If you allow your roots to tap into the good stuff that are gonna fulfill and fill in your spiritual self, it's going to fill into the roots, it's gonna go up into the tree, and you're gonna make this big, beautiful, I'm going to do this very quickly here, but you're going to make a big, beautiful, happy tree out of that based on how you feed yourself. So the question is now, how do you feed yourself? How do you feed your mind? How do you fulfill your spiritual self? I mean, me personally, I have everything from the Bible to all kinds of special martial arts and Zen books. I'm reading a book right now, actually. It's called That Is Not Your Mind. This is a great book. It's by Robert Rosenbaum, and he's actually a psychologist and a Zen master. So I'm reading that, and that's one great way to fill your mind spiritually. And you do that regularly, and you're sure to fill in that spiritual center of your mind. Because remember, our emotions and the way we feel is based on what we think, and how we think is based on all the things that are involved in our lives. I mean, the things we watch, the things we listen to, the things we say, the news and all that kind of stuff. It all goes up inside of here. And we're very, very spiritual beings. You might not feel very spiritual. I hope some of you are, because there's absolute magic there with the spiritual side of things. And if you fill that spiritual stuff, you won't feel so empty. That's one of the keys here, is filling that spiritual center, filling it up. Overfill it with spiritual goodness, and you'll start to feel better. So practice that. Practice filling your spiritual center with all kinds of wonderful, exciting, adventurous, kind, and loving things. You know, Christianity works for me, Buddhism, Zen, that stuff I'm into a lot of different spiritual stuff. And just, filling that in and making that a regular practice can really make a difference in your moods and your well-being.